You ready to call this meeting to order?
Ready if you are.
Okay.
Yes.
So with this, we are calling to order the SAC Metro Finance and Audit Committee for the 22nd of April, 2021. And we have an action item or consent agenda item first. And there is no consent agenda item except for action summary and minutes. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
I have a
I'll
second.
be glad and to second it. Mhm.
Great. I have a motion and a second. Will the board secretary, the board clerk, please call a roll?
Yes, Director Wood,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
and Director Orzali.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving
Mr.
on.
Chair, if before we move on to our presentation item this evening, if we could just take any public comments
Oh,
beforehand.
okay.
I don't have any. However, Art, if you could unmute all of our participants and give them the opportunity.
Sure, Melissa. However, there are only 2 attendees. That's my second account at Metro Cable, so probably nobody else.
Oh, wonderful. All right, well, I take that back. We can move right into presentation items. Back over to you, Mr. Orzali.
Thank you so much. So presentation items. We have one presentation item, financial report through February 28, 2021 with,
Really?
No, okay, go away. Go away.
okay, I'd be happy to.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, there was domestic disturbance.
Oh, well, in that case, can we, let's adjourn the meeting and go watch the disturbance.
Carry on. Thank you for indulging me.
So presentation item, financial report through February 28th, 2021. CFO Amanda Thomas, who is leaving us for no real reason except her own selfishness.
Thank you for the introduction.
Thank
Good
you.
evening. I actually am having a difficult time sharing my screen. I'm wondering, Art, if there's something that you need to enable for me to be able to do that.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Hold on a second.
So once Art gets that going, I will be able to put my PowerPoint up on the screen. And what I will be sharing with you is the financial report for the 8 months ended February 28th, 2021. Hopefully you are seeing that now.
It's visible now.
Great. Okay, so as I said, this is the financial report for the 8 months ended February 2021, or February 28th, 2021. Just as a reminder, before I get into the charts in this presentation, the board did approve mid-year budget adjustments for the current fiscal year 2021 back in March. And as a part of that mid-year budget process, essentially what we're doing is we're revising our budget so that the first half of the year, the July through December half, equals our actual revenues and expenses. So when you see the budget lines on these charts, keep in mind that this budget is using July through December actuals. And then obviously we have new estimates for the remainder of the year incorporated in the budget. So looking at the first chart, what we're seeing is our medic cost recovery revenue. This blue line on the chart is the mid-year budget revenue for medic cost recovery. You can see we have a total budget for the year of 41 million. Our actual amount collected during the year is what's depicted by the red line. And you can see that red line is right on track with the blue line, which obviously we expect for July through December, because as I mentioned, we revised our budget to be equal to our actual, but also for January and February, the actual amounts were right on track with budget. So far we have 27 million through February compared to a budget for the fiscal year of 41 million. This chart is showing total revenues. So it's pretty much the same story here. That red line representing actuals through February. We have 133 million for the 8 months, and that's very closely tracking with the blue line, which is our budget, and that is budgeted at $238 million total revenues for the year. So turning now to look at our expenditures, pretty much the same story on this chart as well. So the red line is showing our actual salaries and benefits expenditures. So that's $132 million through February, right on track with our blue budget line of $196 million for the fiscal year. And total expenditures, we have so far through February, 161 million in actual expenditures depicted by the red line, compared to a budget for the year of $237 million. Again, that red budget line really on track with our, or excuse me, the red actual line on track with our mid-year budget line shown in the blue. This chart is showing general fund operating reserves. So through February, we can see on the green line, as you know, that, sort of during the year, our reserve level takes a dip until we get the first installment of property taxes. So during this period here, and then obviously in December, we get our first property tax installment that brings the reserve level up. And then we're spending in January and February more than we're taking in before we get our second installment of property tax revenues in April. So in February, our reserve level was about $5 million at the end of February, which represented about 2% of our net budgeted expenditures. However, we are anticipating a reserve level at the end of the year based on our budget of about $34 million, or roughly 15% of net budgeted expenditures. The only other thing I'll point out on this chart is that you'll see that the green line is slightly below the red line. So our reserve level in February of 21, slightly below where it was February of 20. And that's really just as a result of our expenditure growth this fiscal year compared to last fiscal year, outpacing our revenue growth so far up until this point in the year. This chart is showing the district's total cash balance. So this is in all district held funds, not just the general fund. As of the end of February, shown on the green line, total cash balance was about $27 million. And that's pretty close to where we were at this point in time last year, a little bit of an increase, and that increase is really resulting from non-general fund balances. So our pension bond stabilization fund, as well as our development impact fees fund, have accumulating balances that are adding to the overall cash balance. And this chart is showing the balance in the CERBT fund, which, as you know, is our OPEB or Retiree Medical Trust Fund. So as of the end of February, the total balance was just under $63 million, which was made up of contributions since the beginning of our participation in the fund of a little under $44 million and interest earnings of about $19 million. I will say that that almost $63 million balance compares to an OPEB liability of about $240 million. So in summary, for the 8 months ended February 28th, 2021, our mid-year budget reflects actual revenues and expenditures through December. The January and February revenues and expenditures are generally on track with the mid-year budget amounts. Our reserves are slightly below the prior year level, as I mentioned, due to expenditure growth this year relative to last year, outpacing revenue growth. Our cash balance is slightly higher than the prior year due to non-general fund balances. And our February 28th, 21 reserve balance of $5 million was $5 million or 2%. And we are expecting, based on budget, that at the end of the fiscal year, so June 30, 21, that balance is going to be $34 million or 15% of our net budgeted expenditures. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
I do have a question for you, Amanda.
Yes.
And as always, I congratulate you on the work that you and your team have done. It's phenomenal. The 15% reserves, I'm surprised that we're still able to have that number, given some of the costs that have come up in the course of the year. Does that feel like it's a sustainable figure to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this is the number that's resulting from our mid-year budget. And if you'll remember, I think we were at Finance Committee in February with that, and then at the board in March. So we have seen increased expenditures this year compared to our preliminary and final budgets, mostly in the area of overtime costs, and a lot of that resulting from increased workers' compensation time as a result of COVID exposures. So we have certainly seen those costs, as well as other increased costs related to the pandemic. We also, on the other side, did see some reductions in our medic cost recovery activity and revenues. However, both of those things we were able to mitigate to a certain extent by the fact that we were able to make reductions in other areas in services and supplies. Some of that related to activities that simply we were not able to do this year, travel and training related things that were planned at the beginning of the year, but really weren't able to be done. And some of it things that were deferred in order to reduce expenditures. We also, had started out the budget for the year with a surplus, which gave us some cushion. So I think it was a combination of those factors that allowed us to get to a point in the mid-year budget where we were able to still maintain that 15% reserve at the end of the year. I think what January and February are showing us is that, that our actual results are on track with that budgeted amount. Obviously, we have the remainder of the year to go to see if we end up hitting that budget target. But that's at this point, I'm not seeing any information to indicate that isn't a realistic target.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other comments from board members? With that, I understand we have one additional speaker who wants to address us this evening. Melissa?
I didn't have anything to add.
Oh, well, actually, it's my understanding that Chief Harms is on the Zoom call.
Yeah, I am on here.
There's one now.
Without any more questions on Amanda's presentation, I just wanted to say this is Amanda's last Finance Committee report. And I just wanted to say, in my 4.5 years, we've had 28 Finance Committee reports. We've also had an additional 12 prelim, mid-year, final budgets. And for each one of these adds up to about 42 meetings. And because I don't like surprises, every one of the Thursdays before at 2 o'clock, we meet and go through each one of the presentations. But I just want to say thank you to Amanda for her time here with us and going through each and every one of these. Thank you, Amanda, for taking time with me early on, explaining how the process works. And you've been just a great partner and a great team member here at Metro Fire. So thank you for these meetings and all of the pre-meetings that we've had over the time to make sure that the fire chief was on the same page with you as we move forward in the financial committee report. 42 of them, so thank you.
Well, thank you. I had no idea. I wasn't keeping track. And so those of you who know me know I don't like giving speeches, and I particularly don't like talking about myself, but I feel like I probably can't leave this meeting and not say thank you to all of you. I've worked with a great team, and so thank you, Director Orzali, for acknowledging that really there's a big team of people behind this that makes this happen. And I have enjoyed the support of the executive team, this committee, and the board. So thank you, everyone. I've learned so much in my time at Metro Fire, and I have a lot to be grateful for. So thank you.
And if I just might add to that, your work has been phenomenal. And while I may tease you a little bit, I have great admiration for the work that you and your team do and for the leadership that you bring to that team. So thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, this is Gay. I'd like to add some stuff too, just a few things. Yes, Amanda, thanks a million. The level of professionalism has been outstanding. And I appreciate you taking all my phone calls, asking my one-on-one questions, and you always give me a graduate level answer. And I very, very much appreciate that. And you can run, but you can't hide because we know where you're gonna be. Best of luck. Best of luck. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, then, oh, I'm sorry, there is Ted.
And Director White.
Got his hand up as well, but I think I speak for all of us when we just want to congratulate you, Amanda, on your new role and just wish you continued success. And, also take a minute to welcome back Ken Campo. So thanks for your service and for everything you've done to keep us financially stable through some chaotic times. So thanks.
Director Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can't say it any better than what's already been said, Amanda. Thanks for all your help, and it's been wonderful working with you. Thank you. Best to you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we will close this meeting of the Audit and Finance Committee for Metro Fire. Our next scheduled meeting is May 27th. Thank you.